Take it away, Armin.
So we're going to start off with anoles, and everyone knows a brown anole. You've probably ever walked into a Petco or PetSmart. This is a brown anole that is line bred to be bright red. And this is a young sub-adult male. He'll get just maybe an inch or so bigger. The care on this, anole-wise or lizard-wise in general, is probably as easy as it's going to get for a non-handleable lizard. So this is just going to require some sort of bioactive enclosure. They can live in all sorts of different kind of, I don't want to say temperatures and humidities, but they're tolerable of a lot of different scenarios. So you're going to want to aim for like 75 to 85 degree in the enclosure. And then humidity wise, you're going to miss them every day. So that usually will keep the humidity up, but you want to keep it above like 60%. Now remember, these are invasive in places like Florida, Texas, a few other states. I think these are actually illegal in either North or South Carolina, but that just goes to show these are from Cuba, but they've kind of taken over the US, so they can live in all sorts of different temperatures and humidity. So, but the ideal enclosure, you're going to want something like an 18 by 18 by 24 for an adult pair. And then just set it up bioactive. It doesn't have to be bioactive, but that's the easiest and most fun way. You're going to enjoy them more because these aren't a handling lizard. So what I say, it's like a fish. If you just set up a betta fish in a bowl with nothing else, it's kind of boring. But when you set it up in a nice tank with lots of plants and stuff for it to do and watch it enjoy its life, that's when you're going to get the most rewarding experience out of a lizard like this. So obviously it's a bright red lizard against green plants. It's super fun. They're super bold. So ideal diet is going to be stuff like crickets, mealworms, basically insects. Sometimes they will go for like a pre-made crested gecko diet like Pangea or Rapashi, but the main diet for these guys is going to be insects. And again, those are easy to get at just about any pet store, which makes them super easy. And they just make really cool little terrarium inhabitants. So this is an adult male. The feet. So this guy, you can't tell, but he doesn't have much of an open stripe on his back. The females have a really large, open kind of white stripe on their back, and that's how you're going to tell them apart. And the females will stay a little smaller than males. So the camera's not totally picking up how red this is. It's like a fire truck red right now. It looks a little more pinkish, but they're just really, really cool display animals. And this is definitely my most popular anole. People love them.
Okay, I know there's people out there wondering how much.
So these are the super high red ones are going for about $200, and then the lower grade ones range from 150 to 85. So I kind of grade them based on how they come out because it is a line bred thing. So you don't always know exactly where you're going to pop out of eggs. So once they hatch and grow up a little, you kind of have a good idea what they're going to look like. So this would probably be like $150, $175 lizard. The crazy ones I do sell for $200 each. So next, we have probably the most popular micro gecko I have. So these are ashy geckos. All right. You can see. So this is a baby. They hatch out with stripes and a bright orange tail. And then as they mature, you can't really totally see in the camera. They kind of turn this tannish color, but they still have really cool speckling pattern. And then the benefit of these is they do really well in a bioactive enclosure in pairs. When they breed, you can leave the eggs in the enclosure to hatch, and the parents do not hurt the babies. So even though they don't always stay this crazy pattern and vibrant color, it's fun because you get to actually hatch out babies in the enclosure. The parents don't hurt them, and you can kind of watch the whole cycle in a small. You can do it in as small as like a 12 by 12 by 12 enclosure, and that's something I would recommend for a pair. And then as babies mature and start to lose the pattern, you'll remove them so that there's no territorial issues. But they are basically, as far as temperature and humidity goes, a very similar care to the brown anole. So like 75, 85 degrees, above 60% humidity. These are also going to be eating smaller bugs. At this size, you can get like a 1/4 inch cricket, which a lot of Petco's, PetSmarts have. You can also feed fruit flies if you want to, grow your own food. And yeah, this is by far the most popular micro gecko I have, because they're super easy. Also, they have a really good personality. They're super bold. They're not afraid of people. You can set them up, and it's not going to be like anti-tank syndrome where you never see it. No, you're going to see these guys walking around. They can walk on glass. You'll see them on the front. Sometimes you can even, if you work with them, they can take food from you. So they just make a really cool little display animal. Oh, this, like at this size, looks almost like a tropical fish, which is even cooler to me. And then, like I said, they turn into this, but you can kind of see in the camera, they hatch out like half this size. And at this size is about when I would sell them if someone wants to buy a baby and grow it up. A lot of people like growing up their pets. So at this size, I sell them unsexed because you can't sex them till they're about sub-adult. So unsexed, I sell for $85 each. And then as adults, I sell pairs for $250 each, so about like $125 an adult. So the males and females are territorial. So in a small enclosure, like I said, if it's like a 12 by 12 by 12, you're going to want to do just a pair. But I know and have seen where you do a large enclosure and each pair kind of makes their own territories. Then it's very possible to do 2 or 3 pairs, maybe some extra females that'll go between the males. But again, they do kind of set up little territories. So if you're going a small enclosure, definitely ideally is 1 pair. Babies aren't territorial. You can raise a bunch of babies together, but as they mature, you kind of start seeing a dominance thing and you want to start separating things out.
Awesome. That's so neat.
Last one. And then this is probably another super popular micro gecko. This is the Puerto Rican crescent gecko. And this is an adult male. So you can see this is literally, I can't even show how big it is compared to my thumb, a tiny, tiny, tiny lizard. I mean, this is a young adult male, so he might get like, not even half a centimeter longer, but this is about it. So this is going to be the very similar care to the ashy gecko, which I just showed. But they are a little shyer. So don't expect to see them a ton. But they make really cool terrarium inhabitants, and it's just so cool to be able to have something so small in your terrarium.
So if you're seeing something out like this in its enclosure, what time of the day normally is that? Like when they're basking?
Yeah, these are more diurnal. So they're going to be out during the day. And it also just, it's same like fish. If you put them in a high traffic area, like say you put them in your house and they're in the living room where the family is a lot, everyone's walking around more, they're going to get used to you and they're going to be out a lot more versus say you put them in your bedroom and you leave at 8 a.m. in the morning, you don't get back till like 6 p.m. and you're out in the living room and then you just go in your room for an hour before bed. They're going to be hiding because they're really not used to you. So ideally, what I always tell people, if you really care to see your lizards, put them in a super high traffic area where people are. If you work at a desk all day, put the enclosure on your desk or next to your desk so they get used to you, and they'll basically be desensitized to you and not mind being seen by you. And they'll know you're not a threat, basically.
That's awesome. They say that too with like bigger monitor species. Like, you have black dragons and like the water monitors that could be kind of spicy at a young age. And
Right.
There's certain tricks as far as keeping them in a high traffic area, which they notice you a lot more. They calm down. So,
Yes.
I mean, and all these kind of think the same. You would, in a sense, you would say, right?
It's super amazing because this tiny gecko to me is almost as smart as some of the monitors I've kept.
That's wild.
You can watch them, like look at you, think about what they're doing. The way they hunt a cricket is just so cool. And not only they're just like monitors, not only high traffic area, but also ideally like eye level, or if you're sitting at a desk a little above the desk so that you can, they're so tiny, they live on the ground. You can only imagine they're running away from things that are coming from above all the time. So if you're kind of eye level with them, set up an enclosure a little higher, it's going to make them a lot less inclined to be afraid of you.
Awesome, man. Well, listen, Armin, before we let you go, you being a top seller in MorphMarket, what are some tips out there for somebody out there who maybe is just starting to post some stuff. Maybe somebody's been posting some stuff, not making sales. But what's some advice for anyone out there?
So there's definitely a few things that I see a lot of people making mistakes on. Number one and most important is your photos. You want to make sure, especially the cover photo, and then all the photos after that, that's like 90% of the battle. You want to take really good photos that make the animal look how it looks. I mean, you don't want to over exaggerate colors or anything, edit them, but you want to take a beautiful photo, get as much of the animal in the frame as possible. And of course, it really helps to have photos of the exact animal. Some things it's hard, like when I have 400 frogs and they all look the exact same, I'm not going to take a picture of every single frog, but your sales are going to way increase when you take pictures of the exact animals that you're selling. Also, just be very mindful of price of what other people are selling things for. Yes, maybe you bought something 3 years ago and you finally bred it, but you might not be able to sell it the same price that you originally bought yours for. So just before you post your ad, definitely take a look at what other people are selling the same thing for, or what they were selling the same thing for in the past 6 months, and just be mindful of that, because there's no use to make an ad, post it for double what they're going for at the current time, and get super frustrated that you can't sell it. So unless you don't mind, then it might sit there forever and the right person might come along and like the exact animal you have. But price and photos are probably the biggest factors into selling an animal.
And if you have those two boxes checked, then I also think it's just timing. I mean, sometimes it's just you got to have the right person looking at it, you know?
Yeah, totally. Also customer service too. I mean, that's major timing. Just being able to work with people. If people want to do a payment plan, wait for shipping weather to, be patient with people. A lot of people are going to MorphMarket. They're buying it's the first time they're getting an animal shipped. So you got to walk them through stuff sometimes. And then just following up and trying to, not asking people to leave a review, but making them have such a good experience that they leave a review when it gives them the option. And those reviews certainly totally help a lot, because I mean, I do it. Everyone does it. Everyone goes to someone's page if they have 2 reviews versus 200.
Big time.
Yeah. Even 1 or 2 bad reviews is like, you question, oh, why did that happen? So you want to avoid those as much as possible. And I mean, if something goes wrong or animal isn't exactly how someone expected it, and there's a way to rectify it, always, I mean, I hate to say it, the customer is usually always right. You want to treat them that way. So of course, there's extreme cases that's not true, and you're dealing with a Karen or something. But most of the time, you want to make your customer happy. A lot of times, those people that you fix a situation that even maybe they took care of the animal wrong and something went wrong, you fix it, and they'll come back to you because you were so kind to them, gracious to them. It's just kind of just dealing with people how we're supposed to. So that's another big part. That's a long-term thing past just posting photos and getting the price right.
Amazing advice. And guys, please check them out. HerpTime on MorphMarket. One of the best doing on MorphMarket. And I got to say, your ratings speak for itself, Armin. And I don't need ratings personally to know that you're a good keeper, because I know you personally, and I've been to your booth, I've seen your stuff, and you are just doing amazing work. But I will say right now, you are having some people in these chats demand that you go back to YouTube and start posting some stuff on YouTube. Okay. He does have a channel. This guy has great numbers. I don't know why. like Armin, I don't know why.
I'm a person that if I do something, I'm doing it like 100%.
Yeah.
And I spend so much time just taking care of animals. The animals come first before I make any content. I got to make sure all the animals are cared for before I make an Instagram, a TikTok, or whatever. And YouTube, since it's horizontal versus vertical, I got to shoot it all on its own. I don't want to half-ass it. So it's like, I'd rather not do it than do it half-ass, which I don't know if that's the right way to do it, because I know a lot of people, I'm answering sometimes the same question 10 times in a day on how to take care of something. Yeah. And if there was a YouTube video, I could just send a link. That would probably save me time in the long run. I know I gotta get around to it, but there's no excuse.
Well, maybe this will motivate you. Being on MorphMarket's YouTube channel, you had a bunch of people in the chats who just love you. You had a few goat comments in there, but I think you're definitely one of the goats in the hobby. So thank you for everything you do, Armin. When's the next show you'll be vending? Is it super shows that you only stick to?
I think, I'm going to the next super show, the LA Pet Fair in I think it's the 28th and 29th of June.
Nice.
I think I am going to the All American Reptile show in Denver in April.
Nice.
And those are the only ones really on my radar right now. So Instagram's good, but honestly, if you actually have interest in an animal or like actual legitimate questions about animal care, you can message me on MorphMarket through an ad or just like through the messaging feature. And I always respond to MorphMarket. Instagram, it can get lost because I get a lot of spam and random stuff, but MorphMarket is like you're 100% getting a response, whether it's in 2 minutes or in 2 hours, it'll come. So
there you have it. If you mean business, hit them up on MorphMarket.
Right.
Thank you so much, Armin. This definitely won't be the only time we'll see Armin. I definitely have plans on, going to your collection and getting a really deep dive vlog and showing it for all the keepers, because you got a lot of people who rock with you, and I'm one of them. But listen, go enjoy your weekend, Armin. And guys, do me a favor and give it a round of applause for my man, Armin of HerpTime, ladies and gentlemen.
Thanks for having me on, MJ. It's
all right, man. Cool. Have a great Friday and have a good weekend. Thanks, Armin.
Cool. You too.